Welcome back to the Home Sweet Home podcast with
Thank
Marissa. This is Marissa. I'm Marissa. This is Chris with Check It Out Inspector. I always want to say Check It Out Inspectors, but
Inspectors,
it's Check It Out Inspections.
Check It Out Inspections.
How did you come up with that name?
I'm not really sure. Thinking back, I know the logo, I designed it.
I like the logo.
Coloring with my kids at their table. My brother tweaked it and fixed it.
Yeah.
And then Check It Out. My wife and I, we talked about it a long time and just kind of landed on that.
I like it. Cause check it out.
Yeah.
Check this out.
I've had a lot of people ask if it's like a national, company.
Oh.
Because the logo, they say it looks professional, but...
Well, you do. You run a very professional business, so I could see why people think that.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Well, I am recording again for the second time with Chris because my internet went out, so I am going to, again, ask you real quick, how'd you get started in this business? You've been doing it for how long now?
A little over 9.5 years.
9.5 years. So how did you get started?
So, my background, I've done construction my whole life, both residential and commercial. And we've had different businesses, my wife and I. And we had a business where we rented inflatables, and I just was not seeing the family a whole lot. With that business, it was always on the weekends. It was tough to do birthday parties and things like that with the family and do that stuff. And at that point, we had a young family. Lily, and then Caroline was about 6 months old. And so, so we decided to sell the business, and I wanted to become an inspector.
Okay.
So I reached out to a good friend of mine, Matt Traylor, who's a realtor, and asked him what the process was like. I had bought a house. I had seen some things. The inspector didn't let me do a walkthrough.
Which I think is preposterous still.
Yeah.
You told me this 20 minutes ago and I still can't believe it.
Yeah. No, he said, and a lot of inspection companies are that way.
They just
still.
Don't. Really?
They don't. It's more time.
Okay.
Right? They don't want to spend the time with the client. My job as an inspector is to relay to the client what's going on with the house. I can do that best in person.
Right.
If they're not available, we try to make the report to where it stands alone.
Can they FaceTime you if they're not available?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. Charlotte's done that a few times, and I've had other realtors do that. We'll FaceTime. Most of the time, people don't get sick, because you're walking around with a camera.
Like Blair Witch style.
Yeah, that's exactly what it's like, And so I'll ask them. Sometimes we'll just do speakerphone. Mm-hmm. It's a little easier, and then if they want to see stuff, then we'll FaceTime and show them that. But yeah, I'm happy to do that. I just kind of asked him how it all works, and he connected me with his inspector at the time. We called him, and he said Champion School of Real Estate was the best. So we sold our business. It took about a year to sell. And then I actually had to work a job in between because we weren't getting payments from the business yet. So I had to work for a company delivering milk. I was a milkman.
Really?
Yep.
Again?
For 6 months, yeah.
I did not know this.
Yeah.
I'm learning so much about you.
Every time you interview me.
Every time.
Today. So,
I'm so sorry.
No, it's all good. So, but it did solidify because I'd had so many of my own businesses, and when I was working for Borden, every day I'd go to them and say, hey, why are we doing it like this? Like, this is a waste of time. Why can't we do this? Nope, that's the way we do it. And I just kept thinking, man, this is such a waste of time. Everything. I want to do it my way.
Yeah.
And I just realized I have to have my own business. Like, I do not want to work for somebody.
Right.
And do something where I'm wasting time. I'm only making a certain amount and I'm wasting time. So it just helped,
It helped motivate.
Yes. Once that time was up, then I was able to focus on Champion School of Real Estate. Within 3 months, I did all the schooling that I needed to, all the labs. Took my national and state exam, passed them. Super nervous. In the state of Texas, it's like at that time, I don't know what it is now, but at that time it was like a 50% pass rate.
Ooh.
And so I was pretty nervous because I don't test the best.
Me neither. I was really nervous about my realtor test.
Yeah.
I didn't know.
It's probably similar, like you're at a place, one of the state testing centers,
Yep.
And so I did it and passed and got my license and started doing inspections. And at this point, I've done thousands of inspections.
Yep.
And there's always something new to learn.
Yep.
I'm trying to constantly do, additional training. We're required to do 16 hours a year of continuing education.
Okay.
To maintain our license. But we do so much more than that. I do so much
right.
more. I mean, that's, yeah. So it's, yeah.
Because there's always something to learn, and
Always.
like even in your experience of like you're helping people, you're learning in the moment when you're doing inspections. Like you mentioned, you have a lot of great contacts that you can reach out to.
Yes, I've got
if
a
you
pool
ever
guru,
right,
AC guru, roof guru. I mean, all these guys are very valuable to me to help me
Right.
become a better inspector, because sometimes you're going to come across something that's either was done a long time ago that you've never seen before, or something that's brand new that's coming out that you haven't seen before. And sometimes I go to them and they haven't seen it.
right,
And we learn it together.
Right.
You know? And so, but that's one of the things I love about inspecting is it's never the same.
yeah,
Everything's changing. Every house I go into is completely different. I never know what I'm going to find. It's an adventure. I feel like I'm helping people at
Yes.
the end when we do that walkthrough and I show them what we found.
right,
They're just blown away. Even sometimes builders that have been builders for 30 years, they're like, well, I'm just getting the inspection because my wife said so. And I do the walkthrough and they're like blown away. They're like, man, I've been in this house 7 times and I haven't seen this stuff. But it's different from building a house and inspecting a house. When you're inspecting every day, you start to see certain things. You know, you've got your system for how you're checking it. So consistency. And so anyways, and that's what I've taught
Yeah.
my other 2 inspectors.
Yep.
Is we want to do the home inspection the same exact way. So we start at the same spot. We end up at the same spot. That way there's no chance of missing anything.
I bet that was a really rigorous training process.
It was. And so with Kirk, you know, he's super thorough. I mean, it's his personality. He's great to work with. He was an aviation mechanic.
Okay,
So, I mean,
yeah.
You can see the detail
Yes.
there. And so, yeah, I trained him for, I don't remember exactly, I think it was a month or 2, quite a few inspections and showed him everything. And then also doing the reports, because we want the reports to be the same.
Right.
So it doesn't matter which inspector you get to do the inspection. The report looks the same. So you as a realtor or the client, you look at the report, it's going to be laid out the same. And so we paid for, you know, special programming or
That's good.
software to do all that. Yeah.
Consistency is key.
Consistency. Yeah, exactly. And then even scheduling the stuff, I pay for software so we can schedule it. And then when we schedule it, it sends an email to the client as well as to the realtor.
It's very nice.
So thank you.
I enjoy your whole setup. 'Cause
Awesome.
It's very like I love communication and having that like
Yes.
recording of the follow up. And this is like don't forget. You even send an email out beforehand if it's next day or a couple days. Don't forget we're inspecting your home at this time. And I'm like, oh yeah, right.
Yeah.
Because I mean, me and Charlotte are in constant communication.
Yeah.
But sometimes you know I see stuff in her email and I'm like, oh yeah, I remember this. So I don't know,
Yeah.
just really
No.
good. I love never
Good.
too much communication for me.
That's it. That's what we
yeah.
want to try to do, communicate. So if we get to a house and the gas is off, that's the first thing we're doing is communicating to the buyer's realtor.
Yep.
We'll take a picture, we text it to you and say, hey,
Can
gas
I
meter's
inspect?
off, it's locked, what do you want us to do? Or we're inspecting the rest, just wanted to give you a heads
Accept
up.
that. Mhm.
We start doing the picture because a lot of times the seller's agent would say, no, it's not. Gas is on.
I know better. That is definitely
yeah.
on.
No, they tell me for sure it's on. And so to get ahead of that, we send the picture.
Right.
So you could just send it and say, look,
Let's stop the back and forth. This is
Yeah.
what's going on.
This is the
right.
picture. Yeah.
I mean, sometimes things happen too. Not necessarily
yeah.
like the seller's
Absolutely.
lying. Like maybe they just didn't
They
know
didn't
something
know.
happened.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that
Absolutely.
happens too.
Yeah, but once again, usually it's communication.
Yep.
You know, but by doing that, we kind of get ahead of it, so it speeds up the process of getting that gas turned on,
Right.
or the electricity, or the water, whatever it is. Sometimes we'll go to a house and there'll be a deadbolt or a like a padlock
Yeah.
on the breaker box.
Okay.
And so we'll call and say, hey, is there a key hidden somewhere? If there's not, we actually have bolt cutters.
Yep. Get in there.
And we say, you know, send me a text saying I'm authorized to do this. And if they do that, then they're happy because it's saving them a trip. They don't,
Right.
They don't care at this point. The
No,
seller
they're selling
has
the
moved
home.
out.
Right.
Yeah, they don't care that that's locked anymore. And so it saves everybody time and money. As long as we're authorized to do it, we'll cut that lock off and
Absolutely.
inspect it.
Okay.
Because we want to inspect the stuff.
Yes. You're not
And
trying
that's-
to cut corners. And,
Right.
Oh,
I
that
don't
was
wanna do
that was too tall. I couldn't see it. Or,
Yeah,
You know,
no,
things like
couldn't
that.
get on that roof.
Yeah.
It was too steep. No, we want to get on the roof. We want to see what's going on. We want to get up in the attic. So
Mm-hmm.
if there's no access, you know, if it's blocked like a car's underneath the
Yep.
pull down ladder or something like that, first thing we want to do is reach out to the agent and try to get the seller there to move it so we can get up there. We
Right.
don't want to just take a picture and say couldn't get in the attic.
Right.
Same thing with new construction. A lot of times now with new construction, the builder's saying we want you out there, 2 weeks before closing or whatever.
Yep.
Well, we get out there and the house is not finished.
It's not done. I can't do my inspection.
There's guys working. Yeah, I mean, sometimes the AC unit's not been installed or the gas meter's not hooked up, and that's a big deal. I mean, we want to check those items. And so when someone calls me to schedule a new construction inspection, I'll say, hey, before we schedule it, can you go and just make sure that it's finished?
Yeah.
Don't listen to what the builder's saying. Like, are you in town? Is it possible for you to actually go there or your realtor and see that it's ready? Because I don't want to go there and take a bunch of pictures saying this is not finished, this is not finished. I want to
wasting everyone's
inspect this
time.
stuff. Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Yeah. So I want you to get your money's worth out of it. Mm-hmm. Same thing for the appliances. A lot of times the appliances are installed last because they tend to walk off.
Right.
So
they grow legs. It's
yeah,
crazy.
that's it. Yeah, it's real crazy. Yeah. So lots of things. Sometimes doors. I'll say the builder will stop by and I'll say, hey, when are y'all installing the door back here? And he's like, it's already on there.
Put it on there yesterday.
Like, not anymore.
Yeah,
exactly.
I used to work for a builder, so
you know.
I know. Yes, I was in
It's
marketing, so I didn't hear like as much field stuff. But yeah, I remember I would hear some stories every now and then, and it's a shame, but it happens.
It is a shame, and it happens.
Yeah.
But I want to make sure that stuff's in there so we can inspect it.
Right.
Because we actually want to do the stuff, and that's one of the things I tell people. You do not want to hire a lazy inspector that's not going to get on the roof because he's scared of roofs. That's not going to do his job.
Right.
I mean, so Trek requires us to get on every roof unless we deem it unsafe.
Okay.
But some inspectors,
what does that
all of
mean,
them are unsafe.
deemed unsafe? Like it's raining that day, I shouldn't get on?
It could be that. It could be that they say it's too steep.
Okay.
It could be that the age of the roof, the granules are letting loose, and so it's slippery.
Okay.
I've been on roofs when there's ice on the roof.
Well, that's scary. I'm so glad you're safe.
Yeah.
Well, this is the podcast. I'm going to post it.
Yeah. Well, she's not going to watch it. No,
Just
sorry.
kidding.
Yeah, no, it's all good. But,
Yeah.
I mean, it's such a big thing. And so some people say, well, a lot of companies are using drones, and drones are great.
Yeah, I have heard of that.
And I have a drone, and I use it in certain situations, but I don't use it on the average shingle roof. Like, I use it on Spanish tile, or something like that you can't get on. Mm-hmm. But a regular asphalt shingles, no, we want to get on it because part of what you're doing with that inspection is what you feel. So sometimes you're walking on the roof, you're looking at things, but you feel a soft spot here.
Oh, yeah.
When
And
you
a
get in
drone
the attic,
can't tell you that.
right. When I'll make a mental note or sometimes a physical note, and when I get in the attic, I'll check that area. It could be the wrong thickness plywood, which we've caught before.
Okay.
It could be that there's wood rot. There's been a previous leak and it was rotten and they didn't replace it, or there's an active leak. It could be a lot of things. And so we just want to look at that. Sometimes there'll be a hole in the decking and they just put tar paper over it and put shingle. And so you can see it was a previous vent that's there. So if you hit that spot, you'll step through it.
Oh
so
my
you got to be kind
gosh.
of careful when you're stepping. But yeah.
Have you ever fallen?
I've not.
Good.
But I've
Knock on wood.
Knock on wood.
Not that I've asked you that question.
I was in a house the other day. I can show you a picture of a ticket, but I was walking through and there was a hole in the ceiling and it was about the size of a footprint. And I thought that had to be from the inspector. And when I got in the attic, sure enough, the boards that you walk on, it was right beside. So he just stepped one step off, which he didn't fall through. It was just 1 foot.
Right.
But I know guys that have hurt their ankles and stuff.
That's really scary.
It is. You got to be careful.
Yeah. I mean, and when you think about the Houston heat, the Houston hot, the Houston cold, and you're out in that all times of the year. I mean, I remember one time you were helping Charla, her client, buy a home in Brenham. I remember, I went to the inspection for that one with Charla and her client, and you were, coming out from this really old house. Do you remember? It was, a 100-year-old home. It was in Brenham. It was on West Alamo.
Oh, I do.
And they're right next to each other.
Yes,
and I was like, you're getting under there?
Yeah,
You're like, yep.
Pier and beam.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah,
so,
I do remember
that. Is there a lot of pier and beam
houses
in Houston?
There are.
Like in town, I know.
Yeah.
There's pier and beam.
They're still building pier and beam. Some people think it's just old houses. Most of the time, it's before 60s. But even new stuff, yeah. And we do mobile homes too. A lot of companies don't do mobile homes, but a lot of them don't do pier and beam. But we do pier and beam and get underneath.
Yeah.
Even my termite inspector, we'll get underneath there and check all that stuff. And a lot of times, pier and beam will have termites going up the cinder blocks, and all those beams underneath are all wood, and it's just
Oh my gosh.
yeah, it's a buffet.
Man, that just I mean, like, it's
That's-
good to know. It's you want to
Yes.
know those things before you buy the house.
You
Like,
do.
my heart goes out to the sellers and just
Yeah.
everyone that's involved in it, because I was telling
Yeah.
Charlotte, like, it can be really easy to like be pitted against like the seller, like as the buyer, like this person is trying to keep me from
I gotcha.
this home, but it's like, no, like, you want to work together.
Yeah.
This person wants to leave the home and I want to move in it.
Yeah.
Like, let's meet in the
How can
middle.
we do that? Yeah.
Right. And so
Absolutely.
whenever I just, I've seen inspection reports come back and things, and it can get ugly, with
Oh,
these
yeah.
negotiations. So whenever, the great thing you do that you mentioned earlier is the walkthrough at the end that helps
Mm-hmm.
the client understand the inspection report before it hits their email inbox.
Yes.
And you walk them through everything. And
Yes.
this is, and it's your job to point out all the deficiencies, as we
Yes.
said.
Yeah.
But you highlight the things maybe more big ticket.
Mm-hmm.
This is this, or I've even heard, and I hope this is okay to say, I've heard you
Mm-hmm.
tell clients like, well, this you can fix this at Home Depot. Just go buy the part. $20.
Yeah, some of this stuff. Yeah, exactly. We try to put in perspective and just kind of explain what the fix is, because sometimes they're really concerned about something that's a $10 item,
Right.
and
Just 'cause
it's
they
not
don't
even
know.
worth asking about. I mean, just in that situation, maybe just do it. And that you kind of remind me of one thing we were talking about earlier. We were
Yeah.
talking about realtors, and I was talking about the value of having a good realtor that knows what they're doing. And how important that is, because in the past, I didn't know before I was in this industry.
Right.
Everybody, sister-in-law, brother-in-law, cousin is a realtor. Everybody knows a realtor, but
Yep.
if they're not a full-time realtor that knows what they're doing, you're gonna either miss out on the house that you want, or you're gonna pay too much.
Yep.
And you're not gonna, get the negotiation skills that a seasoned, experienced realtor like Charla, like yourself, can do.
That's very kind of you to say.
Oh well, I'm serious, and honestly, and so that's why, you guys have helped my mom, my brother, and all my
Your
family
friends?
when we're done.
Help one of your friends?
Yeah, Sean.
Yep, Sean, yeah.
Yep, and Sean and Emily. So yeah, exactly, and that's why I recommend you guys. But I feel like that's something I didn't know before I got in this business, is that having a good realtor that knows what they're doing is so valuable.
Yep.
And as we were talking about pier and beam, the same thing I would say about termite inspections. Before I was in this business, I never paid for a termite inspection.
Right.
Now I pay my termite inspector once a year to come to my house and inspect, because every week she's finding termites in houses.
Yep.
Or carpenter bees or carpenter ants, and it's all about catching it early.
Treating
and
it early.
treating it early before they do so much damage.
Before it's too late.
It's very common in the state of Texas. I
Yeah.
think it's 1 out of every 4 either has termites or has had.
Really?
That's a pretty crazy
That's a
statistic.
really crazy statistic,
Yes.
considering how many homes are in Texas and
Yes.
how much we're growing every day.
Yes. Oh,
Make
it's well
sure
worth it.
it's going.
I pay her once a year to do mine, because just seeing them, it's all about catching it early.
Yeah.
And so when people call for an inspection, we'll ask them how many square feet the house is.
Yep.
Is there a pool, spa, sprinkler, well, septic, and we'll give them a price for the termite. And a lot of times they'll say, "Do we need termite?" I'm like, "Well, I mean, if it's
I recommend.
2 years or newer, yeah, they're supposed to pre-treat the soil before they build," which we know that not all builders are doing that,
Right.
based on the amount of houses that are built and the amount of chemicals that are sold
Okay.
in the state of Texas.
Oh wow! So like you just know that's
TDA
not happening.
knows it's not happening. So
Good to know.
So I still ask people, do you want it? And if they say no, I don't really push it. But if it's 2 years or older, I'll say, I really think you should get a termite inspection, or we say termite, it's WDI.
Right.
Wood destroying insect.
Yeah, I learned
so they're
that.
they're looking for termites, carpenter bees, carpenter ants, and certain beetles.
Okay.
But
We're very buggy here in Texas.
yes,
We have so
yeah.
many bugs.
But luckily, they're the subterranean termites, so you're not having to tint the house most of the
Right,
time. So
right.
it's like a $1,000 to $2,000 treatment most of the time for smaller house, versus $30,000 for like a 2,000 square foot house. I mean, so that's
right.
good.
Right.
But
Agreed.
it's just well worth getting that stuff. Same thing with the inspection. I mean, sometimes people will call me and they say it's a VA loan, and so we just need the well and septic inspected. And I'll say, okay, You still need a termite
Yeah.
because they, most VA loans require termite.
Yeah.
But I'll say, even if they're not requiring it, you still need to know what's going on with the house.
Right.
And sometimes people will do it, and sometimes they don't, and it's their call.
Right.
But I highly
I
recommend.
hate to see that, especially
Yes.
our veterans. Like,
Yes.
let's take care of them and make
Exactly.
sure the home that they're moving into is
in
a
good
good
shape.
choice for them.
Yeah,
and
so they don't have any surprises. That's our
Right.
goal at Check It Out Inspections. When we inspect the house, our goal is that when our client moves in, that there's no surprises.
No surprises.
We want them to know everything. It's not that we're trying to tell them, yes, buy it. Don't buy it.
Yeah.
It's pass or fail. It's not like that. It's like, this is what's
Educating.
going on with the house. Yeah. And then if they ask me, well, should we buy it? Then I'm redirecting them to the realtor saying, look, I don't know what value is and all that stuff. I mean, here's what's going on with the house.
Yeah.
You can get quotes on this stuff and then, work the numbers and see if it all works. Right.
It's really hard when people ask those questions.
Mhm.
Like,
Yeah.
should I move into this house?
They want to know. Would you buy it for you? Would
Right.
you buy it for your mom? That's what people always ask me.
That's really tough because
Yeah.
our jobs, both of our jobs, are just to educate, bring all the knowledge that we know that the market tells us, not our own opinions.
Right.
And so people can make the best choice that they need to make for themselves. And I always go back to remind Charlotte and myself when people are asking those questions. We're like, well, what were you looking for in a home? What were your original wants and your needs and your goals? Do you think this home still meets that? And it's really hard. It's an emotional decision when people are buying a house.
It is.
And we care about our clients. We get caught up in there, but I feel like Charlotte does a really great job of keeping it she's very logical, and she's like, these are the facts, this is everything I know, the choices are up to you.
Yeah.
And I can imagine as an inspector how much people ask you those questions too.
And I did a walkthrough with some clients. It was the perfect house for their family. They had 3 different generations moving into this house, and they were super happy. They had searched for a few months. When I was doing the walkthrough, I showed them that the house had flooded and that they didn't disclose that. They had no idea. And the lady started crying and was just devastated.
Crushed.
Yeah. She was like, this was perfect. And I'm like, I don't know the situation. I don't know the numbers. I'm not saying don't get it. I'm just saying
just
it's
telling
flooded.
you what I know.
And it was never, they never took stuff out. They never, there's,
so
chances
that can cause a
are
lot of
there's
problems.
some mold in the walls because they just didn't take the stuff off.
Right.
And showed her why and stuff. But, a lot of times things work out better. In this situation, I saw her a few months later. She got a better house. It was a better fit.
There you go.
So it worked out. Yeah.
God's timing is
That's right.
everything.
That's right.
Just leave it up to Him. It's His plan. We're
It's in
just
His
doing
hands.
our best. So,
That's right.
Yeah, everything happens for a reason.
I
I always
agree.
remind clients of that too. Even when an inspection comes up, they get an answer they don't want. Well, aren't you glad that we found out about this now?
Correct.
That we can try to address it, hopefully with a repair or money towards repairs for an amendment. And if not, then it's better that you know that before
Right.
you're locked into this home, because it's the
Absolutely.
biggest investment that people are making.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so I'm gonna say it again. I don't know if I've said it this time, but just how important it is to have an inspection done.
Yes.
Even on the new construction homes that we talked about a little bit, it's well worth your money. Even if your builder may, discourage you against it, or not discourage you, but just say, "Hey, don't know if it's worth it because this is everything."
Sometimes
that's
discouraged, but yeah.
Well, I was trying to say the benefit of the doubt,
Yes, but yes.
But yeah, it's really valuable. Chris and his team bring so much value to every
Thank you.
transaction that Charlotte works on. Just your wealth of knowledge, and
thank you.
just really appreciate you. And
Well, thank you.
means a lot to have. You were saying it's really important to have a good realtor that working for. It's really, really important to have a good inspector that's knowledgeable, not lazy, like you were saying, that does the work, knows things, and if they don't know things, they're not too prideful to ask other outside help. Hey, what is this?
You just take pictures and then research it later and figure out what's going on. And sometimes I have to even go back to the house, but that's pretty rare.
Right.
Usually I'll try to document it good enough and then see if it's done properly or not. But yeah.
Right. So do you do re-inspects too?
We do re-inspects. Yep, we charge just a flat fee of $200 typically. So sometimes it's the gas was off, so we're coming back to check that stuff.
Or maybe a repair was made.
Sometimes a repair was made. I cannot tell you how often things are negotiated, and then they hire me for a re-inspect, and they're closing later that day or the next day, and I go out there and half the stuff's been fixed. And they're saying it's all fixed. And people are like, what? They just, and I'm like, look, it's still leaking. Like
Gosh, that's
I'm
the
just
worst.
a messenger. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's very often, and even with new construction, they'll hire me to do an inspection and then re-inspect to see that the stuff was fixed by the builder. And a lot of times it's not, so.
That's a bummer.
Yeah.
But good to know before you move in.
But good to know.
Before you get the keys.
Exactly.
So, yeah, I was going to ask one more question, but before I do that, is there anything that I missed that you'd like to bring up about anything we've talked about?
I mean, at Check It Out Inspections, we try to be a one-stop shop.
Yeah.
So that's why we are certified to do the pool and spa, septic systems, water wells. We actually take samples of the water, take it to a lab in Conroe to have that tested, which some loans require.
Right.
So
the VA loans require that.
VA loans do, yep. We like to get ahead of that and do that. And then sprinkler systems, termite inspections. So it's a lot easier for the client and also for the realtor. They're not having to coordinate with 5 different companies.
It's a very difficult, thing to do. So.
Yeah, especially if the house is occupied, especially if the client's out of town and you're handling all of that. So we can do all that. It saves the client money, and we're certified to do it. We're doing the same thing that the other companies are doing.
Right.
And we have no skin in the game, so we're not a pool company trying to get
repairs. Right.
We're just telling you, hey, here's what's going on. You should get this repaired, things like that. So
good to know. I know the pools are a big ticket item sometimes for maintenance and repairs. So definitely have a pool, want to get that checked out, make sure everything's working well with that. Okay, so my last fun question is there a charitable organization that you want to give a shout out to? It could be local, it could be anything.
Yeah, I'm actually on the board for a group. It's a 501c3 nonprofit. It's called Drift.
I didn't know this either. I'm learning so much about you today. Okay, tell me about Drift.
Well, we've been getting everything set up, so it's all set up now. So Drift stands for, and let me try to get it right because I'm used to seeing it.
It's all right.
It's drifting. Let's see. Drift, driving right into the Father's track.
Oh, I love that.
So basically what we're getting set up is we're trying to work with kids and in a few different ways. So one is teaching them how to do things, teaching them different skills. So we're talking welding, everything, plumbing, electrical, basic construction, things to do with their hands, just all kinds of different things. And that way they can get a feel for it and see if it's something that they want to pursue. Yeah. Maybe they don't want to go to college. Maybe they want to be an electrician.
Learn a trade.
Learn a trade. So we're exposing them to that. And maybe it's not. Maybe they still want to go to college and be a doctor or something else. But they at least know how to work with their hands and can realize how fun it is to work with your hands, how fun it is to create something, build something, and what we're doing to reward them for the stuff. So we are also setting up programs with maybe single moms, widows, things like that need repairs done at their house, to their cars. So we can actually supervise and help the kids do those things. Okay. And
helping the community at the same time.
Helping the community, and then exchange that for time, for hours on a go-kart track that they get to drive these cars, these go-karts, and learn how to drift and actually get to do some really fun things supervised. So that's what we're working on. So
this is amazing.
Yeah,
so
thank you.
When did how did this idea come to be?
This is something God put on my heart years ago. Parts of it. The other part of it, I don't know. I know you know Micah Teeter.
Yeah.
So God put the other part on his heart, and we came together one day and started talking about it. And so we are 2 of the board members. We have another board member, Diane Jacob, and we're trying to get it all to come together.
That's really awesome.
And so
how can someone support? Do you guys have like a social media page we can follow, or?
We're still working on all that.
Still working on all that.
We've got all the paperwork done. We're set up officially as a 501c3.
Okay.
And we're trying to get our website set up right now. So we're still working on that.
That's amazing. Well, as soon as it's all set up, please let me know. I'd love to share it.
Maybe we can come back on and talk more about that.
I think that'd be a great idea because I really like that. That's really cool.
Cool.
All right. Well, Chris, just thank you. No. This is the world's most patient man here because I've had a lot of technical trouble today, and he's been such a trooper. So thank you again. Bottom of my heart. Like, you and your team mean so much to Charla and I just because I feel like we work really well together, and you
Yes.
help her clients, and in turn, that's just helping more people out there. So thank you for everything
Cool.
you do.
Well, thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me.
Of course. Appreciate you.